Did you see the thing about the hockey player that died on the ice?
Yeah, the guy that like got karate kicked by the blade.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, that was in England.
It was an American team that went over to England.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they went overseas to play. Yeah.
Bizarre.
What a way to start off the podcast.
Hey, remember this death? Remember this gruesome death?
R.I.P. though.
Truly. Maybe we will not start the podcast with that.
Yeah. Welcome to the Perfect Movie Podcast, the podcast where we answer the question, is this a perfect movie? I'm Kalen.
I'm Michael.
Today we'll be talking about Inception. Another Christopher Nolan joint. Michael, what is your relationship with Inception?
So we're doing Nolan November. This is movie number 2. And I loved Inception when it came out. Inception was this was a phenomenon. Like you said last week, that The Dark Knight and Inception were like back to back. Basically, the massive success of The Dark Knight, Warner Brothers was like, blank check, make a movie. Christopher Nolan, do whatever you want. And he was like, I want to make this dream movie. It had been something that had been in his mind since like just after Memento. The idea had been cooking for a while.
Makes sense.
That's when it was incepted.
Oh. Ooh, that's the title of the movie. Oh my God.
After The Dark Knight, the next Christopher Nolan movie had so much hype behind it. Yeah. And then you see the trailers, and Paris is folding in on itself.
And the fucking walls are turning, and people are running on them.
Things are exploding in slow motion, and they're talking about dreams, and Leo DiCaprio's looking intense, and you're like, 15-year-old me was like, fuck yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
And I think it was like... the hype paid off when we first saw it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I own it on DVD. I'm pretty sure I bought it like as soon as it released, or like maybe that holiday season.
Yeah.
Following that, so I watched this again on a 13-year-old DVD.
You actually watched it on the DVD?
Yeah, I was like, fuck it, I have this.
Nice.
But, and I think. Once again, this is a really influential movie. For this one, the biggest influence was the Hans Zimmer score. It's the bwah.
Yeah.
Every trailer is cut to the bwah for the next.
I remember I used to listen to that soundtrack a lot. Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, but I don't know. I liked it. It was epic and got my brain pumping.
Like the trailer for Inception and that music basically like reshaped how trailers are cut into the future. Like they're all cut the way the Inception trailer was cut.
No longer did we have the narrators going, in a world where...
Although we get a little bit of that, the Killers of the Flower Moon, like TV spots, they're doing the like, from Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon.
yeah, you get a little bit of that. Yeah.
And it was a movie that generated a lot of... purposefully, I think, or just by the design of the idea of the movie, generates a lot of discussion after.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that a lot of people said they left confused. Well, let me tell you, big flex. I saw this in the theaters. I was never confused.
No, it's not that hard to follow along.
I've always thought that. Well, goddammit, do they not stop explaining to you what's happening? So if you're confused at this movie, it's because you weren't paying attention.
Inception explained.
So I guess without getting too into it, my current feelings, but when this first came out, I fucking really liked it. Yeah. And I still do think it is a well-made movie. I just have a lot of issues with it.
I agree.
Kalen,
kind of the same thing. This time period kind of just holds a special place in my heart. Just a lot of like, especially with films and music, it was just a good time. 2011. I mean, I was...
Hey, remember back in your formative years? Yeah. Weren't those always better? Says every person since the dawn of time.
Literally. I don't know, but I mean, this was like, the digital age, and it was like, I was
this was
freshman.
Sorry, but this was before the internet ruined the world. The internet was still
literally.
fun.
But it was like the dawning of that. So like
Yeah.
we discovered YouTube, and there was this whole new world of like,
Yeah.
wow, we could watch stupid fucking shit all day.
Yeah.
You know?
Netflix is starting to stream.
Yeah.
It's not, DVDs in the mail. Like, this is before, this is like, I mean, it's the Obama years. In general, in America, it is a more positive time.
Yeah, it was
I think.
peace times. Yeah.
I don't think you're alone in that assessment. So I was making fun of you, but
They
anyways.
capped Osama bin Laden, and everything was cool.
They said, we got him.
Yeah, Inception, like you were saying, it was a phenomenon. I remember watching this in the theaters with like a big group of friends. We all went to go see this movie. We had been like anticipating it because of The Dark Knight, and it's funny because when I was younger, I didn't really associate films with directors, but I knew who Christopher Nolan was.
Yeah,
you know,
it
what I mean?
always had a new film by Christopher Nolan, like, in the trailer.
Yeah, and it's like you see that name, you're like, oh, okay, I gotta go watch this. You know, I remember when it came out, I loved it. I don't feel that way right now after just watching this last night, but it's still, like you're saying, a well-made movie, and I can appreciate it for that.
And I didn't mention this because I rewatched this and I was not having a good time, and I was wondering if we'd sit down and disagree because we were usually pretty kismet. We usually agree on a lot of things or have similar ideas, especially when it comes to movies. And I was wondering because I fully expected to rewatch this movie and be like, yeah, it's cracking, still like it. And next week, it's going to be interesting because Tenet pulls, which we will talk about next week, is a lot like Inception. It's kind of the redheaded like stepchild of Inception.
I agree. Yeah.
And it pulls a lot of the same bullshit, but for some reason, and I've seen it a couple times, I still like it. And I don't know if I'll go back again and be annoyed or if I'll still like it.
It's funny with Tenet because I feel like I watched maybe 10, 15 minutes of it. I couldn't take it. I turned it off. So I'll give it a full shot and then we'll see. But with Inception, I think a lot of the problems with it come down to the editing, and I think the more technical aspect of the film, not necessarily the performances.
For me, it's the writing and the depth of the characters.
Okay, I didn't have as big of a problem with that.
Okay, so we agree, but we disagree on how we agree.
Yes.
Whew.
Yeah, it's like Inception. It's like a fucking dream.
But the joke I was trying to get to was that I didn't incept this idea into your mind. You came with it all on your own.
Are you sure? Because I saw you in my dream last night.
Oh, well, I be hanging out in there sometimes. Speaking of that, this is our first Letterboxd review, 4 stars. Fellas, is it gay to go inside your bro's dreams?
It depends on what you're doing in that dream. You know what I mean?
Okay, can I just say, so there's a scene. And it didn't hit me the first time, the first 20 times I've watched this movie. Because I've also seen this movie, maybe not as much as I watched The Dark Knight, but I'd seen this movie a lot. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't think I've watched it much in adulthood, but as like a teenager, like I own the movie. I watched it a lot. That scene where Ariadne, Elliot Page's character, finds Cobb asleep and just jumps into his dream. Isn't that kind of violating?
I think so. You're kind of like invading their personal space. How do you know they're not doing some, personal stuff in that dream?
Exactly, that too. But also just like, whoa, like, bitch, it's not your place.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it struck me as really weird this time, which I think there is a theory out there that the whole movie is a dream and that Ariadne is there to investigate him and like try to get him to like confess to these murders or figure out if he really did the murder of his wife.
That's way out there.
And that's the only scene that I think gives that any
like credence to
it. Because it's like, why are you doing this? You're really nosy. And I realize you're new to this, but also like,
well, that's how I saw it. Was like it's like morbid curiosity, where it's like she kind of. I mean, this is new to her, and so she's like, and she's a college kid, so it's like she's at the forefront of this crazy technology, and she wants to be in it and like master it. So I saw it as that. But
okay, next Letterboxd review, 4.5 stars. Dom Cobb seems like he's never told a joke in his life and has 0 friends.
Which one's Dom Cobb?
Dom Cobb?
Dom Cobb. Mm-hmm. That is a terrible fucking name.
That's Leo.
Okay. I was thinking it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character.
I don't even know his name.
That's another thing. I don't know these people's names in this. I know Maul. They're all terrible names. Maul is his Leonardo's wife. But.
Which literally translates to bad in Spanish.
Okay. Then we'll talk about this more because I had a lot of problems with her character too. But, yeah.
Chris Nolan. I think it's funny that Chris Nolan... the only character that's not a total psychotic, like suicidal maniac bitch is a trans man.
A trans man?
Elliot Page.
Oh, yes.
That's the only character that is not the only other woman in the movie.
That's competent. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't know that at the time, but I just think it's funny how that has aged. 4-star review. I just think it's really neat.
Fair enough.
Right? I can't argue with that. There's some neat stuff in here.
Yeah, for
1,000%. In fact, I'd say it's almost all neat stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah.
5-star review. Mostly had it on as background noise while I read my Arthur Eames fan fiction from 2010, but it's my letterbox, so I get to choose what counts as watching as a film. Arthur and Eames are JGL and Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Because they got a little something going on.
Okay.
I think there's gay fanfic out there for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, especially Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Actually, no, of course, Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I'd read that.
And Tom Hardy is the only person in this movie that is bringing any character.
Yeah.
We gave a bunch of quotable lines. There are no quotable lines except for one in this movie, in my opinion, and that's, mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Well, it's funny because I was like, I almost wish he was the main character.
Yeah.
He had the most charisma out of anybody. And I forgot he was in this, too, when I first saw him. So,
all right, shall we get into the performance test?
It was the performance of a lifetime!
Performance test where we talk about our favorite actors, characters, and moments. And I will say, I love Ken Watanabe as elderly Saito. And that makeup, when we first meet him, I do love the intro sequence. It does grab you right away.
Yeah.
I think. Where you are like, what the hell's happening? I know I'm watching this dream movie, so what's happening now?
Yeah.
And when we get the big water geysers, which are practical in this, like, kind of like samurai hotel that they're staying at because it's a dream creation. There's some good stuff in there.
We talked a little bit about Tom Hardy's character. He was the guy with the most charisma. I think the performances, I mean, I didn't really have a problem with them, but there wasn't really anything going on with the characters, especially Leo's character.
Yeah. Act 1 is just like exposition and assembling the team.
Yeah.
It's getting our crew together to do this Inception job because Dom Cobb is wanted for the murder of his wife in America, so he can't return to America. He's currently living in France. He wants to return to reunite with his children. It's not clear at first whether or not he murdered his wife. We assume he didn't because he's Leonardo DiCaprio in the middle of this movie, but we learn more as we go on.
Another movie with Leo DiCaprio murdering his wife, or alleged to have murdered his wife.
They both came out in 2010. Is Leo DiCaprio Dead Wife Syndrome? This and Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Nice double feature of just not being DiCaprio's wife.
Shutter Island, the more dominant movie, I would say.
Not culturally, but in my mind,
yes,
100%. All the great scenes are set pieces, but the interpersonal interaction of this movie, I think, is like Elliot Page's character is just asking questions, and things are being explained.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is explaining everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy comes in. He's like, check out my cool shirt. Check out my other cool shirt.
Indian guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever, what's his face? He said stuff.
Yeah. Leo DiCaprio is like very calm, and he's like, check me out. I look like Christopher Nolan. And then every once in a while, it's like Christopher Nolan couldn't rein him in. He spazzes out a couple times.
Yeah.
It's when JGL, like, it turns out you blew it. You screwed up. We didn't know they'd have security in the first level of the dream. He didn't realize that our man that we're incepting hasn't been has been trained to guard against the dreams.
Yeah.
The Inceptors. And he like completely flips his lid. And there's a couple moments where he completely flips his lid, and it just feels like Leo doing Leo shit and not like that character. Because that character otherwise is like pretty calm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every Leo movie, he kind of has a scene like that where he kind of like, I mean, because he's pretty great at that. I mean, showing like the manic sides to him or these characters that he has. I mean, he's pretty great with that.
I don't know. Just for me, it was like choose a lane.
Yeah. I will say this is kind of random, but the one scene I did hate, and I always roll my eyes at these types of scenes, is when he's on the phone with his kids in the beginning. The kids are like, "When are you coming home, Daddy?" And it's just like, oh my God, like you're trying really hard for us to like sympathize with this character, and it didn't really work for me.
100%. Also, why not just fly the kids to France?
There's
Breaks
that.
the movie.
There's that. But apparently, I mean, there's custody thing going on. I guess they're with grandparents.
I don't know.
Who
You
cares?
can yada, yada, yada that, but it's funny to me that they never really address that. And it's just a movie. It's a movie that's, The Prestige, how they have the like 3 sections of the magic trick. This movie is him doing the 3, like, this whole movie feels like a magic trick. It's him being like, let me show you what the cool shit I can do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the characters kind of are just facilitating the cool shit.
It kind of seems like a tech demo.
Yeah.
Or like he's just seeing what he can do. It's like it's practice to him. I don't know. That's what it seemed like to me.
And whenever and this is a solo written by Christopher Nolan joint, it seems like he always needs to lean on, really basic like familial things. It's the kids. It's the dead wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to Interstellar. It's Murph.
Yeah, Interstellar. That would have been another good one to talk about.
I think Interstellar I might like more. Although when Interstellar was like love transmits me through time, I was like, fuck this. I like the 2001 A Space Odyssey shit, but once it got so saccharine, I was like, please die.
We are the ghosts.
I'm in a bookcase in a black hole.
Michael Caine's in this movie. He's the
Michael Caine.
He's the I know a guy for that guy.
And also, I like the grandfather of the kids.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's Maul's father.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another Christopher Nolan trope where he like there's always that one guy that knows a guy that's like an expert to do your job or do your thing. He's like, I know a guy for that, and then it cuts to the guy.
Everyone knows a guy.
Yeah.
The whole beginning of this movie is I know a guy. I gotta find a guy. Let's
Which
get
is
this
like,
guy.
damn, can I find a field where everybody just knows, like, where I know experts to help me, do this heist and shit? I wish my life worked like that. But.
I can remember one more line. This, I think I can't say his name right. Ken Watanabe. It's when he says, the rug in my apartment was wool. I'm laying on polyester. I just love the way he delivers
he was
his
like,
lines.
that's how I know I'm dreaming.
That's how he knows he's in a dream.
Yeah.
So it is like, it's a big magic trick, and it just, I guess now, maybe just because I know it all, but we were just gushing about how the action scenes still, like, a lot of them still wow us, like the set pieces in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But in this, like, I can admire them, but this movie is missing one thing that Tenet has that this doesn't have, is a villain. I think maybe a villain might have helped. Like, Maul's kind of the villain, but it's also the dead wife, and we're also doing the emotional part of the movie there.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of muddy, and then it just turns into guys in suits accomplishing things, and the things they accomplish are cool. And we get a James Bond snow base, and we get the rotating hallway, which is sick, and we get
that's a great scene.
But and I'm just like,
it's a lot. I mean, I think that's kind of like you're kind of assaulted almost with like the amount of shit going on. I will say, like, the most interesting aspects of this movie are when they're explaining how the dream stuff works. I just like the idea of, like, time passes differently when you're in a dream. You'd be in there in the real world, you're in there for an hour, but in the dream, you're in there for years. I like that kind of stuff. And the deeper you go, you could be in there for 50 years. Like,
this is an A+ concept.
Yeah, it's really cool.
For sure. It's just, in my opinion, that, like, I'm struggling to do performance test things because I just feel like these characters are pretty one note, and they all have, like, a thing. And then Leo has, like, 2 things, which is, like, live kid's dead wife.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
And then he's also like an expert. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But he doesn't really have to try. He just knows how to do stuff.
He's an expert sniper.
Expert at hand-to-hand combat and all types of stuff.
Yeah. Let's move along to It's an Art, Bro.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
It's where we talk about the aspects of the filmmaking process, technical stuff, which I think is where this really shines. I like how international it is, especially in the beginning when we're doing the assembly
Yeah,
scene.
you're really globetrotting.
A lot of people were like around this time were like Christopher Nolan should do a James Bond. I think he was like, I'm too fucking big for a James Bond. I do my own shit. You know, I'm gonna go make Interstellar. Like he doesn't need to be a hired gun to do a franchise anymore.
No.
I think he put that behind him with Batman.
He can make his own thing. Yeah.
And I think this is kind of him. And then we come back around with Tenet, where he's doing like a James Bondy thing in his own way with the classic. Like his first movie, Memento, is told out of sequence. And ever since then, he wants to tell his stories out of sequence. And if it's not out of sequence, we're going layers.
Yeah.
Now we're doing layers deep, where there's multiple layers. And like I said, his editing is his superpower. And I think this movie actually genuinely not being that super confusing is a testament to his ability to edit and keep this together for me. And I feel like you disagree. So
I just feel like I just get kind of lost in like just the. I don't really even know how to explain it. You could probably cut this. Because what were you saying?
What I was saying is editing is superpower because, like, you know, once we're going layers and layers into the dream, we're cutting back and forth between like the various layers of action, but you're still like understand time and place and like how they interconnect for the most part, like because they are also constantly explaining everything to you all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like particularly the moment where like they dive off the bridge and everything, and then, you know, the hallway goes sideways and everything starts going left, but you kind of can still track through these different scenes the through lines of like what these people need to do.
Yeah.
And you're not like, whoa, wait, where are we? Which part of the dream are we? It's always like clear just from the setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I think that's where this movie shines, and the fact that he loves his practical effects, that they built a big ass hallway and rotated it and had Joseph Gordon-Levitt run around and punch people.
Sure. I mean, there's some real work that went into this, obviously. I think another big thing with Nolan films in general is like stylistically they're not very interesting as far as the way it's shot and the way it's filmed. Well, not even necessarily the way it's shot, because there are some interesting like camera works and stuff, but mostly like the lighting is just, it's always very like muted and kind of boring, and his movies like have this like realistic tone to them as far as like the way we kind of see the real world is how it's like shown, and it's not fucking Blade Runner, you know what I mean?
It's not mood lighting. The difference
no.
between the club scenes in The Dark Knight versus the Batman, like
yeah,
like the Batman is like just all this red, and there's like thousands of, it's like 1,000 person club, and then in The Dark Knight it's like dingy and weird.
But it's not even really that dingy though. I mean, it just looks like a real nightclub. You know what I mean? It's not stylistically like interesting to the point where it like grabs your attention.
It doesn't have a lot of character.
No. And yeah, that's like that's a problem that I have. And I think that Dark Knight and Inception, if you kind of like cut different scenes into each movie, it looks like the same movie. I don't know if you would agree with me on that.
I mean, they're shot by the same guy. Ironically, you're saying this, but this is the one that Wally Pfister, the cinematographer, wins the Oscar for this one.
Okay. They just look very stylistic. They look very similar, and especially the way that they're edited as well is very similar. I mean, obviously it's the same director. I get it, but you know,
Christopher Nolan is a man that slicks back his hair and wears a suit to the set every day, and it feels like that's how his movies feel.
Yeah,
it's buttoned up.
Yeah,
and so there's not a lot of there's style in the like set pieces, like when France folds over. And like the slow-mo explosion in the cafe,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But it's not like eye-popping in the way that like, I don't know, like Drive is.
Yeah.
Or like when you think of like a really stylistic director.
But I mean, it's like you have a movie where you're your whole concept is dreams, you would think they would do something different to distinguish when you're in a dream and when you're not. Mm-hmm. But maybe that's part of the thing where it's like, we don't want the audience to know, which I get it. You know what I mean? But
because we do the spinning top at the end, we're supposed to not be sure whether it's a dream or not. So I think in order for that to work,
you can't have
the dreams
to have to have the same style as the real life. Yeah, I get it.
They need to resemble reality. I agree that is a problem, and that was something I was going to bring up later, that it just feels like, for a concept of doing dreams, why is this a hotel and then a bar and then a James Bond snow palace? Like, what the fuck? Like,
who dreams about that? You know what I mean? I don't know.
It just seems like you could be, there's a lot of mind-bendy things you can do with the concept of a dream, but a lot of it doesn't feel dream-like. We're building these James Bond movies on top of each other.
Yeah.
And
it's like, in their dream, they have actual armed guards. In my dream, I would have fucking Optimus Prime protecting me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's weird from that aspect. I guess you're not supposed to think about it that hard, but I can't help it.
It just struck me upon rewatching it that it's like, wow, we're kind of squandering the concept of dreams.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's a lot of space there to do dreams, and it's rainy city, hotel hallway,
and a beach,
a bar, a beach,
your shitty house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like, why? And again, I think that goes back to it's buttoned up, and we're supposed to confuse reality and dreams.
I mean, I almost wish this wasn't so action oriented. I almost wish it was more about like the ramifications of being in these dreams for so long, where it's like you can't, and that's again the most interesting stuff in the movie, where it's like how Maul is like, she can't distinguish real life from a dream, and she thinks that her actual life is the dream, and that she's suicidal because she wants to go back to her other life. And I think that's the most interesting stuff. It's funny because that's the problems I have with her character are based on that arc. But I kind of wish, like, Leo just doesn't seem affected by it, even though he is kind of affected by it sometimes. Like, where you see the scene of him spinning the top and he's getting ready to bust a cap in his fucking head.
Yeah, it's like it kind of does both, because when we go to like at the ending, so Saito is supposed to have been under for like, he goes down to, what do they call it, limbo, because he dies in the dream and they're sedated. So he's supposedly lost in this dream for decades. Like, he turns into an elderly man. And then he wakes up and remembers he needs to make his phone call unspokenly. And it just feels like you should shake that off a little more.
Yeah.
You should wake up a little more like shook.
Yeah.
You
spent 50 years inside of a dream. Yeah.
That utterly breaks like Maul and Dom Cobb forever.
But you know why she had such a hard time with that, though? Because she's a woman.
Yeah. Because she's spazzy. And our Christopher Nolan character needed to fix her. Or Leo DiCaprio. He had to literally... Although I will say, as far as a good scene, I don't like the arc, but there's a train coming and it's going to take you back, and they have their heads on the railway. Like, that's effective. Like, that's chilling and fucked up, and then you realize that's why the train is in that first scene, or in the first dream. That's the train that killed them. Yeah. To bring them back, and like how he's like bringing these memories into these dreams.
You're waiting for a train. A train that'll take you far away. You know where you hope this train will take you. But you can't know for sure. And it doesn't matter. Now tell me why! Because you didn't get it!
Yeah, that's all I have to say for the It's an Art Bro. Shall we move along to, hey, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have that then. All right, I'll take that. So I have the suit, I have the shoes, maybe a nice hat. A nice hat with a nice ribbon or a bit of a handkerchief.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Oh, hey, I'm a guy who can wear a hat, huh? Oh, look at the tall freak Probably can't fit a hat on that big, huge melon of his. Is that what you're saying? It's gonna slip down over my head and down my little scrawny neck onto my shoulders, and I'll look like some cartoon character out of a Warner Brothers? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, actually, that's what I was.
This is where we talk about, the themes of the movie. And we're coming back to some stone cold classics, dead wives and daddy issues. Because what we haven't really talked about is we're doing this Saito's bidding. He's like some CEO of some enterprise, and his competitor's son is going to take over the company because the dad is dying of cancer. So he is supposed to incept the idea into Cillian Murphy's character that he needs to break up his company and go his own way. That is the goal of this whole dream hopping enterprise. And it all comes around to daddy issues. Does daddy approve of me? What do I do for daddy's approval?
Yeah.
And I think I found that a little more, again, I used to like this movie. A little more, it just worked better for me before, but watching it again, I like the idea and I like how they go about it. I actually like the Eames character being the actor, and he's portraying his uncle so he can get close to him, and that idea, and then the way that they kind of go about getting him to go down that path, where he said they give the I was disappointed line was supposed to be the last line of the dying father, but then they reveal that I was disappointed that you tried to be like me. That kind of works. But then you back up and you're like, wait, so this is all happening so this guy can get even richer? What?
Yeah, it's this is your catalyst for, I don't know, for all these action set pieces.
And it's supposed to be because we care for Dom Cobb to get back to his kids so he can see their fucking faces again. But goddamn it, do I not care.
No. Yeah, seriously.
And the don't show their face thing is such a movie bullshit thing. It's I can't see their faces, and then he comes home and he sees their faces.
Oh my god!
I'm so heartwarmed now.
Came full circle.
And that Maul, our character who literally translates into bad, is this I do like the twist that I know Inception works because I did it to my wife, and then she kills herself in real life because he told her she needed to kill herself to wake up, to come out of a dream. That's interesting in concept, but in execution, it's a little hit or miss, mostly because we don't care about this character because I think it's a writing problem. They don't flesh out either the wife or him enough, or what the relationship is really like along the way.
Well, I mean, I kind of wish we saw more scenes of them actually in the dreams together during that time where they were actually in limbo or whatever. Yeah.
Not all the scenes where she's just the Jason Voorhees of his dreams, where she just murders everyone.
Well, I mean, they have jump scares with her, and she's really aggressive, and yeah, it's kind of strange.
A scene where Leo cranks it up for no reason is the first time Ariadne gets killed in the dream, and I'm he's like, no, Jesus, no more, stop, and I'm she's just gonna wake up. Why are you fucking flipping out? You should be lean into it.
Yeah, just accept it.
Go for the head.
No, so you gotta, make sure you're twerking your hips a little bit more and getting that good thrust.
Shoot her in the head.
No, I got the gun for you.
You should be don't worry about it. I'll see you in a second. Yeah.
Why are you freaking out? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense when he flips out later because they're going to go to limbo because they're sedated. But in that moment, it's literally just for the audience. So, what does this movie have to say?
I don't
know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. That Christopher Nolan kind of leans on some cliches when left to his own devices.
Yeah. I don't think there's really any themes going on. Maybe? I don't know.
Well, they go this, there's nothing, an idea is like a virus. That's the tagline.
Okay.
And it is, kind of. But we don't, actually play with that.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like, and this is one of the things that it maybe leans towards is this all a dream theory? Is when old boy wakes up and then everybody around him is the characters that were all just in his dream, including the guy that pretended to be his security guard. Because in the middle, Dom Cobb is like, I'm your dream security. I'm here to guide you through this. Remember me? He should be like, you.
Yeah.
And you, and you, and you, and you. Like, they're all there.
Yeah.
Like, they should have disappeared before he woke up or something. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to just get up and walk away from that situation, to me.
There's a lot of that. I feel like, I mean, there's definitely a lot of that where people just are just like unscathed after the fact that they were just in a dream, and then I don't know, all this weird shit happens, and then they wake up and everything's fine.
Or at least have a moment where he goes like, "What the? Huh?
Yeah,
you know."
Well, that's like, I mean,
shake it off.
In real life, when you fall asleep and you wake up, you're just like, where the fuck am I for a second? There's none of that. People wake up and are immediately in like a philosophical conversation with each other. And it doesn't work like that.
In real life, when you wake up from a really weird and fucked up dream, sometimes you just sit there for a second.
Yeah, and
like,
just like, oh, gotta process this.
Yeah, like, whoa, glad that wasn't real.
Yeah.
You know? And there doesn't seem to be any of that from him.
No.
But somehow he gets the idea that he is going to dissolve his company. Like, he's successfully incepted.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. There's a lot of this that like I don't know.
So we've been kind of doing it this whole time, but let's let the hate flow through you.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
So yeah, the character of Maul, she's apparently a very weak-minded individual, and she can't totally recuperate from the limbo time that she spent. But Leo is like, he comes out of that, he's like, I'm fine, I'm ready to get back to my children.
So does Saito.
Yeah. And these are all strong men. That's why. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I kind of get what he's trying to do with this character, but when it's less, for me, like, it's less an issue with the one movie, but once we look at his whole career, it's like, damn. We got to work through some shit, Christopher Nolan.
Well, it would be fine if Leo had any type of charisma, but he's got the charisma of a wet bag of sand the entire movie. So, yeah, if it was Tom Hardy's character, I would be a little bit more forgiving about it, you know.
Or like, let's have a flashback where we see them have fun on a date,
yeah,
or something.
Well, I see there's a scene where it's like Leo is kind of explaining, like, yeah, when we're in this dream together, we're like gods. And there was a scene where he was like, they were making sandcastles or something, or little pillars out of sand, and they were crushing the pillars. And then there was giant pillars in the background falling the same time they were pushing it, like, because they were architects of this world. I'm like, let me see some of that, man. Let me see some of this like mind-bending dream stuff.
You know, all the
get any of that.
I love that so when Ariadne first gets in the dream, she's like bending the world, building new shit, and he's like, you won't be able to do any of this in the real mission because the subconscious will fuck you up. And it's like, oh, so all the cool concepts are for the trailer then.
Yeah, literally. It's because we didn't have the budget to keep doing this over and over, you know.
It's just like, why? That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
We go in a dream world and it's just streets and hallways and warehouses and bars.
Another thing that kind of bothers me about this movie, again, the choreography bugs me. There's a lot of jump cutting. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is apparently John Wick for whatever fucking reason. He's just capping motherfuckers left and right with like it's flash speed reflexes, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of that. I also have a big problem. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is just fucking boring. I don't care about him. Who cares? He's just there just to be there.
He's the most I'm just here to accomplish my task character of all of them.
But I feel like he should have been one with charisma too. You know what I mean? You need that, like, that guy who knows what he's doing, and he's like the voice of reason kind of, but he's also maybe a little awkward, maybe a little goofball. He obviously is into the Ellie from The Last of Us character. Mm-hmm. There's also a weird scene where he kisses her, or he like makes her kiss him, and it was a little rapey, and it was a little like I'm taking advantage of the situation. Yeah, it was like worth a shot. Like, and then they don't do anything with that. No. Either. And it just came off as really creepy, but it's like she smirked, so she was okay with it. You know, it's like, oh my God, whatever. Oh my God, Christopher Nolan, can you write a woman, please? Fuck. They just all want to be kissed, Michael.
He's like, I know from experience that a man in a tie with slick back hair gets it, okay?
Yeah.
Because they're all his little clones.
I mean,
except for Tom Hardy, but JGL and Leo are definitely his clones.
Oh, for sure. Hot take: Joseph Gordon-Levitt is not that great of an actor.
I think he's good, but this role does a nothing role.
I mean, it was the same with The Dark Knight Rises too. He was like,
well, same. It was kind of a nothing role.
Yeah, he was alluding to be like Robin or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just never found him interesting in the slightest.
No.
So
you haven't seen Looper? He's really good in Looper.
No, I haven't seen that. No.
And he's really good when he's a little baby in Angels of the Outfield.
He was also, wasn't he in Theodore Rex? He was.
Probably.
Yeah,
he was a child actor. He was in
Joseph
Third Rock from the Sun. I like JGL. I don't, but
he's like a rip-off Ryan Gosling.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know
because he doesn't do the he doesn't do the like silent killer.
That's true.
Vibe.
That's true.
I think it's really fucking weird. So, in the snow sequence, Dom starts sniping people, and then he starts explaining their projections. It doesn't matter. She's like, "Oh my god, you're killing them." Ariadne is, and he's like, "Doesn't matter their projections." I'm like, "Didn't we cover this like an hour ago?"
Yeah.
Tom Hardy pulls a grenade launcher out of nowhere and blows 6 of these fuckers up, and you weren't complaining about it then. Like, why are we explaining this now? It's weird, and I think it's only so. He freezes up when he sees Mal, and she has to be like, it's not real. And I'm like, why do this now? You have never been confused about this.
Yeah.
You know Mal is fake. Shoot her in the fucking head. And it's just to further complicate the mission, so they have to do more shit.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's like if you shoot her, wouldn't she just keep coming back? I mean, she's a projection, so
yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
He's like, how do you know she's not real? I'm like, because we've all seen this movie. Like, we were all here. We've all been here. You know? Like, what is happening? That's just a prime example of this movie's need to explain everything to you all the time. And that's what most of the characters are there for, and that's most of their interaction, is explain the next step or explain what's happening to Ariadne.
This movie is like a video game.
They were planning a video game, apparently. It never came out. It would be a sick video game.
It probably would have been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it probably would have worked better as a video game. You have all these mindless drones. It's kind of like The Matrix, where there's just all these dudes. You got endless people to fucking pop. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got missions to go on. You got all this dream bending shit.
You have different levels.
Yeah. The farther you go, the more crazy it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could have worked better, maybe.
And it works better in a video game to have your character be kind of hollow because you are the main character in the video game. You embody this character instead of Leo just kind of being kind of generic.
Leo being Leo.
Yeah, just hanging out, talking to people quietly. Hey, do you notice that the wind is weird in this bar? You're dreaming. I'm your boss. Go with me. Come on.
The wind is weird in this bar. I just farted.
What?
I was saying somebody farted in that bar. Okay, just saying.
Cillian Murphy is like underutilized.
Yeah.
Forever underserved in these movies till Oppenheimer comes around.
And then he's like, Nolan's like, okay, I'll give you the lead role. All
Here's
right,
your one.
Come on.
And yeah, it's just, it feels clinical to me. It feels like, I think Nolan gets compared to like Kubrick and a lot of like really good like technical people, but Kubrick has wit, and he has like The Shining is not a funny movie, but there are funny things in The Shining.
Yeah, there's some character. I mean, there's some like actual like.
Some of that's just Jack Nicholson going off, but it's funny. I mean, maybe this is also in the book, but it's funny for like him to be typing this story, and then you read the pages, and it just says all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy for page after page after page.
Yeah.
Like, it's not ha-ha funny, but it's witty. It makes you laugh. Or like Jack Nicholson frozen like a popsicle stick.
Or even like him peeking his fucking stupid face through the door.
Saying, here's Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah.
Or I was watching... I haven't finished it, actually. I'm watching Dr. Strangelove, which is another Kubrick one. And there's a scene where this bomber carrying a nuke gets the order to drop it. And the pilot has this really thick, like, cowboy accent. And... it's been a pretty serious, like really serious movie up to this point, and he's turning the knobs on this safe to get something. So you assume he's going to grab like the top secret files or like the ignition switch key that you need to drop the bomb or whatever. And he opens it and he grabs a cowboy hat and he puts it on.
Is that the scene where that's the movie where the guy rides
Yeah, rides the atomic bomb.
and he's like waving his hat? Okay, yeah.
He puts a cowboy hat on, and it's just a total bait and switch that made me laugh out loud in this movie that's very serious. And I just need some of that. And I'm like, that's why I think having Batman's Rogue Gallery, having Heath Ledger show up and just own this fucking movie, like, saves it and turns it into an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, Christopher Nolan's a good filmmaker. Oppenheimer is shockingly good for what I thought were his weaknesses. But in this, it's like, you need to give me more to hang my hat on with these characters for me to really care. Like, these characters need more character.
Well, it's like, you're making this fantastical movie about dreams, and you're playing it so straight. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but you have room to get weird, and you have room to, like, be a little bit more lighthearted, and I don't know.
And, like, that's why I like Tenet, because I said this is missing a villain. Tenet's villain is good. Like, it's a fun performance, and it's, like, a good performance, and it has a lot of the same problems. There's, like, a damsel in distress this time. It's not dead wife, but it has a lot of the same problems and the same Nolan bullshit. But I think what saves it for me is I like John David Washington more than I like Leo in this movie. Robert Pattinson shows up to be, like, cool and slick, and I think he adds a little character. And the villain, who the actor, I'm blanking on his name right now, he's the detective in, like, the Haunting of Venice movies, Haunting of Venice, The Death on the Nile. I'm blanking on his name, but he's really good, and it's kind of hammy, and, like, I think that might have added something to this movie, like having a counterbalance, somebody with a little life to them. Tom Hardy's not in enough of it because he's the one that's fun. Like, I just need somebody to, like, jump off the screen to me a little bit.
Well, I think of, like, what's the James Bond, Skyfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, James Bond, stylistically, the newer James Bonds are very much Nolan styled.
Yeah.
But Skyfall had the great villain.
Javier Bardem.
Yes. He had great performance. You need something like that. Mm-hmm. It's, especially when you're, I don't know. That's the problem I have with, like, these realism movies where it's like just these flat characters, and you just need more. You need more to it, and you need to, like, when you are breaking the laws of physics in your movies, do something different, and don't be afraid to keep pushing it. You know what I mean? So,
Kalen, just keep this in mind for the next time it's November, I suppose. You know who jumps off the screen? Nick Cage. We would not have any of these complaints. There may be problems.
I think I'm fine with that in like small doses. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I was cool with it in Mandy. I'm not going to watch another Nick Cage right after that.
I just watched this morning, a little hungover, Sympathy for the Devil, the Nick Cage and Joel Kinnaman ride in a car together.
Oh,
movie.
Yeah. I saw the trailer for that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, it's got mixed reviews, but I'm like, this is why you hire Nick Cage to do exactly this, and it's stylish enough. Like, it's not the most amazing movie ever, but I finished that. I was like, fucking pretty good.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I'll have to check that out.
It has life that this movie is so missing. It's weird that a movie that's so, like, I guess the wow factor is what carries it, and once that kind of washes away with time, it's still like. Don't get me wrong. There's still, like, well done sequences, and there's some stuff in this that is cool, but it can't carry it all.
No,
it doesn't carry the weight.
I don't think it holds up either. I don't think the action holds up.
I used to think I liked it, but I think I might even like Interstellar better.
Yeah,
I haven't returned to it recently, but, like,
Interstellar, I would say, is a technical achievement as
yes.
far as, like, the visuals and everything. Like,
yeah,
it's
this
very well done.
This was, and it still is in some points, but it's so buttoned up. It's so buttoned up, and it at some point I'm like, please, just please, loosen your tie, Chris Nolan.
Yeah, seriously.
So we'll go to our final question. Is this a perfect movie?
You lost a baby brother. Perfect in every way.
I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother, and it was perfect. Perfect in every way.
Nope.
No. Which is so funny. I mean, it's like you were talking about this earlier. It was like you were going into this expecting, like, yeah, this is still going to hold up. I'm very surprised that it didn't.
I'm shocked how annoyed I got. But I was like, when I was rewatching it, it was about 40 minutes in, and I was like, do I not like this movie anymore? And if we hadn't had our little pre-talk where you said, I thought this was boring, the opening line of this podcast that I wanted to do was be like, so I realized I can just die happily not watching Inception ever again in my fucking life.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing else to be explained about it.
No.
You know, and it's maybe that's, again, we always talk about this where it's like, man, when I was in high school and I saw this movie, it was the best fucking shit ever. And it was like, I remember the times where we used to talk with our friends, be like, yo, was he still in a dream? I don't know. But maybe we were just stupid fucking kids and we didn't understand anything.
No, but everyone did that. It was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I think the wow factor, I think if I could mind wipe myself and watch this for the first time, like, I would still be wowed by it. But it's just when you come back to it, it's like the there is not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. Next week, well, we might be in for a ride. We'll see. Tenet is the redheaded stepchild of Inception. It is much the same vibe.
It's the one I'm not looking forward to watching.
I have seen this recently. Like, I watched it soon after it came out. It's like a 2020 movie, I think. It was the one movie that they tried to end COVID for.
Yeah, they're like, Christopher Nolan's back, and he's better than ever.
Get your ass in theaters, you sick fuck.
Don't wear your mask to see Tenet.
Spit in each other's mouths. Watch Tenet. What's a vaccine? Fuck it. Tenet.
Share your popcorn.
It's a word. It's the same forward as backwards. It's the timey-wimey bullshit. It's a lot of, like, I was like, when I watched Tenet, I was like, there's a scene on the highway, which I don't think you got to, where I was like, this is why I like Christopher Nolan. Or when Christopher Nolan crashes an airplane into an airport. I'm like, fuck yes, do that. I think he's like a little boy playing with his toys.
Yeah, yeah.
He needs to just play with his toys for me, please.
I think
this movie is him playing with his toys, but that's when he was like, actually, I'm into, like, I don't know, like Rubik's Cube puzzles or something. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
He's into those, like, electric, like, what are those things, like connectables that you put the little cart on or whatever, and then you push a button?
No, get back with your G.I. Joes and your trucks, please.
I think he makes awesome car chases.
Yes, there's a truck scene that's awesome involving, like, a fire truck and stuff and moving on a highway. There's a scene with an airplane that crashes. There's a lot of cool set pieces. And I think the action holds up better. So hopefully we'll have a better time next week. And then after following that, we might even we might have to do Oppenheimer at a different recording time, depending on when it releases digitally. We might have to record this separately.
I think you're right. It releases at the end of the month.
Or we can just record later. Anyways, that's not really anything here or there. But yeah, Tenet and Oppenheimer coming up for the end of Nolan November. Sorry, anybody that's hate listening to this that still loves Inception. Hey, it's cool. Like that one review that said, this is neat. Like, fuck yeah, it is neat.
I almost want to put it in the, like, you had to be there.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
You know?
It had a moment.
Yeah. It was just a good time period. Like, you know, it's like the blockbuster cinema. You know, it's just, you know, pack seats. And
I'm glad somebody out there gets the endless budget to make the cool concepts that he does come up with. Interstellar, another cool concept. I think Tenet is still a cool concept.
Sure.
Where you land on the execution at the end of the day, I guess, varies. But the man has talent.
For sure.
We just put The Dark Knight as a perfect movie. I'm gonna watch. I went and saw Oppenheimer in the theaters. I'm gonna watch the next Christopher Nolan movie too. So for all the bullshit we're talking.
Well, I mean, one thing I do want to say, like Christopher Nolan, like you automatically know you're watching a Christopher Nolan movie.
And it's a stamp of quality for the most part.
Sure.
As much as we complained about this, like, I think I can't call it a bad movie.
No.
It's got annoying tendencies, and it feels like it's a little squandered on the promise.
Yeah.
In hindsight, but
back in 2011, it was a banger though.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know, some things just don't age great.
No, and that's okay.
That's okay. So next week, Tenet, or next episode. Until then, I'm trying to think of something Inception-y to say.
You guys are all dreaming. Wake up!
Wake up! Wake up! Is this podcast a dream or in real life?
Oh my God!
Wait.
Spin your dreidel.
I have a fun. Hold on, that was just a top, but also
wait. What isn't that what you call it?
No, it's just dreidels? A top. A dreidel is the one. It's the Jewish one with the dice. I mean, you spin a dreidel too, but it's got like the 5 sides or whatever.
Spin whatever you got.
I was gonna say, what would be? I think I know what it is, but that's too common. What would be your totem?
My totem
in an Inception world. I was gonna say it's your little loon vape, but there's a million loon vapes.
If the fucking if the light
you'd have to like customize yours.
Yeah, or something.
Or like the light doesn't go on when you hit it.
Yeah, then that's how I know I'm dreaming.
I think what my totem would be. I don't know. Besides, like other than phones, there's not a lot of things that people like carry around every day.
Your weed.
I think my totem would be my Xbox controller that's in there that has the whole grip rubbed off on the left stick.
Oh, if the grip is still on there, then you're dreaming.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
See ya.